Notice this man. He starts by using a computer to pinpoint the exact location of the safe, then Steve takes a roller, applies special paint on it, marks a square area, and places a small bomb at the center of the marked area. By the time they realize it, the safe has already disappeared into thin air, and a small boat emerges from under the bridge. They quickly give chase, only to find the boat was a decoy. The real safe is at the bottom of the river. A skilled locksmith opens the safe just by touch, revealing new, untouched crystal bars inside. The money in the safe is enough for the group to live comfortably for the rest of their lives. However, as they are transporting the crystal bars out of the city, they are stopped by an unknown vehicle. Just as they step out to investigate, Steve suddenly turns on them, pointing a gun at Jason. The people in the other vehicle arrive, taking away all the crystal bars they just stole. The locksmith can't believe that a partner he trusted would betray them. He tries to convince Steve to stop, but his response is a cold, merciless bullet. Then Steve orders them to drive the car into the icy river below the bridge. Steve, ruthless as ever, fires a machine gun into the icy river. Once he sees the locksmith's body float to the surface, he leaves, unaware there's an oxygen tank inside the car that saves Charlie and the others. After Steve leaves, the group emerges from the water, only to find the locksmith has succumbed to his injuries and is gone forever. Charlie, heartbroken, holds the locksmith's body. He always looked up to him as a father figure. 1 year later, the locksmith's daughter, Stella, inherits her father's skills, able to unlock even complex locks in seconds. Unlike her father, however, she works for the police. One day, Charlie approaches Stella, asking her to join him in seeking revenge on Steve. After years of investigation, Charlie has finally tracked down Steve, who now lives in Los Angeles, with a secure system in place. As the locksmith's heir, Stella is the perfect candidate to assist. But, with a stable job and benefits, she initially refuses to get involved in anything illegal. That night, however, Stella looks at the diamond necklace her father once gave her, sadness overwhelming her. She calls Charlie, agreeing to join the plan to avenge her father. With Stella on board, Charlie is more confident than ever. He also recruits a computer expert, Lyle, and a demolition expert, Old Black. Steve's mansion has a highly secure system, so they need a meticulous plan. Charlie prepares thoroughly by first having Lyle hack into Steve's phone system to keep track of his movements. They wait for a time when Steve isn't home. Then, Stella sneaks in, locates the safe, and cracks it. They load the gold into a car, then plan to drive it onto a train for transportation, ensuring everything goes smoothly. Jason needs to drive to Steve's mansion as quickly as possible, but the main road is always congested, making it nearly impossible. However, Lyle is skilled enough to manipulate traffic if needed. With everything ready, Charlie's plan is simple. Lyle will cut the TV signal at Steve's house, and Stella will disguise herself as a repair technician to gain entry. But they need a utility van and a technician's uniform. Jason charms a female telecom worker, eventually borrowing her uniform and van for the mission. With all equipment in place, the plan begins. Old Black cuts Steve's house's cables, prompting Steve to call the network company. Charlie's team intercepts the call and informs Steve that technicians are nearby and can fix it immediately. Charlie fits Stella with a hidden camera to record the location of the safe in Steve's office. Stella drives the van to Steve's house and successfully enters, filming the safe in his office. Everything is going smoothly, but as Stella is about to leave, Steve shows interest in her and invites her for dinner on Friday. Stella is hesitant but accepts, knowing this will give them a precise time when he'll be out. To ensure success, they conduct a trial run by loading 2,700 pounds of metal into Stella's car, simulating the weight of the gold. After some intense practice, the car's suspension is heavily damaged, showing that transporting the gold might be more challenging than they expected. Jason brings in a mechanic to upgrade the car's suspension. Meanwhile, Steve isn't idle. He goes to a closed shop late at night, where he meets with the owner to exchange large quantities of gold. Steve has too much gold to sell all at once without raising suspicion, so he sells it in smaller batches through a trusted middleman. The shop owner, however, recognizes the gold bar as part of a batch stolen years ago. Realizing he's been exposed, Steve kills the owner to prevent any leaks. Unbeknownst to Steve, the shop owner's brother, Away, is connected to the underworld. When he discovers his brother's murder, Away uses his connections to investigate the source of the gold. Charlie arrives at Steve's house to begin the operation, but a neighbor is hosting a party, increasing the risk of witnesses. He orders a delay, and Stella goes on the date with Steve to buy them time. Everything goes well until Stella accidentally uses a phrase her father often said, which makes Steve suspicious. He realizes Stella is the locksmith's daughter. Steve grabs her wrist, and Stella knocks over a bottle, signaling Charlie's team. They rush in, and Steve is shocked to see them alive. He quickly taunts Charlie, challenging him. An enraged Charlie punches Steve to the ground, but now they've lost the element of surprise, making it harder to recover the gold. The only option left is to confront Steve head-on. However, Steve has 3 armored cars and a helicopter. Charlie's team needs to figure out which armored car is holding the gold. Lyle uses technology to scan tire pressure and finds one car that's heavier, likely carrying the gold. Lyle hacks into the city's traffic control system, leading the armored cars into a trap, where Old Black has placed a series of explosives in a subway tunnel. Stella and Jason race into the subway tunnel, timing their entry just as a train is pulling in. Lyle stops the train to block the tunnel, trapping the armored cars. Meanwhile, Steve watches from the helicopter, keeping an eye on his cars, until a building blocks his view. Old Black seizes the moment to detonate the explosives, creating a hole that the armored cars fall into. Metal plates are blown over the opening, concealing the cars from Steve's view. Inside the tunnel, Stella and Jason pry open the back of the armored car. To their surprise, Steve has installed an even more advanced safe inside. Stella finds it challenging to unlock but eventually succeeds, revealing a trove of gold inside. They load the gold into their car, but Steve's mercenaries soon catch up. However, they are no match for Jason's driving skills. Steve, seeing his men lose, tries to intercept with his helicopter, but Jason outmaneuvers him, damaging the helicopter's rotor. Without the helicopter, Steve is forced to continue the chase by car. However, Jason drives the gold-loaded car onto a freight train, and the team makes a smooth getaway. As they leave, Steve finds the train and tries to bribe the conductor with $5,000 to open the freight car. Just as the conductor is about to open it, Charlie and his team return. Steve thinks he can fight back to reclaim the gold, but suddenly, Away and his gang arrive. Through his investigation, Away has discovered that Steve is responsible for his brother's death. Without hesitation, Away delivers a punch to Steve, seeking justice for his brother's murder. Steve, now in the hands of the gang, is likely in for a brutal end. The team departs, leaving Steve to face his fate with Away's gang.